Good morning, or depending when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told out of Voice of Radio. So today, we're going to be taking a look at the FAQ from the Team Up expansion of the Sun and Moon set. I'll go for that as wording. Now, these were published by the lovely folks over at pokergym.net. Do check them out, lovely website. They are official rulings, and they're not new. Well, not that new. They came out a little while ago, ladies and gentlemen. The thing is, with recent sets like Sword and Shield and Cosmic Eclipse, I have been covering these FAQs as they came out. And when Rebellion Crash, or Rebel Crash I think it's called, when that is dropped, the FAQ, I'll show you the FAQ immediately. But I didn't do that for some of these sets, and Team Up is going to survive the rotation in August, so all of these cards will be legal for at least another 18 months. So I think it is relevant to sit and go through these FAQs, go through these rulings. They are important, they are relevant, they are going to be relevant for at least another year and a half. Now, as a side note, I've had some really good feedback from these FAQs so far. I am not planning to go any further back, because any set before Team Up is going to rotate in August, so there's only a few months left of legality, plus we're really going quite far back then. I am seeing this as the end of my FAQ journey. We'll do every new one as soon as it's released from here on in. I'm not planning on going any older. However, if you guys disagree with that decision and want me to look at some older FAQs, do let me know. For now, we'll start off having a little bit of a look at Dance of the Ancients. This is Tapu Koko Prism Star's ability, whereby you can Lost Zone it from the bench and then attach one lightning energy to each of two benched Pokemon. Lovely. If I've got a Tapu Koko Prism Star and only one other Pokemon on the bench, can I use it to put two lightning energy on that one Pokemon? No. In this case, you put only one lightning energy on the bench Pokemon you've got. The second lightning energy would have to go on Tapu Koko Prism Star, because it's the only other valid target, but then it immediately gets discarded anyway when Tapu Koko goes to the Lost Zone. It is only one energy to each of two bench Pokemon. If you don't have a second bench Pokemon, it goes to Tapu Koko and is lost forever. Now, Absol from Team Up sees a lot of play. It's a one-of in most decks in Japan at the moment, and it's got the ability Dark Ambition. If your opponent's active Pokemon is a basic Pokemon, its retreat cost is increased by one colourless energy. But then it's also got an attack that does 30 damage, plus 30 more for each energy in your opponent's active Pokemon's retreat cost. Well, does that mean that Absol's ability means that Absol does an extra 30 damage? Yes. Absol's ability increases a retreat cost. Absol's attack does more damage for each retreat cost. So it would do an extra 30 damage for it. Nine Temptations. Now, this is Ninetales from Team Up, another Pokemon that sees a lot of play. Nine Temptations lets you, once during your turn, discard two fire energy from your hand and switch your opponent's bench Pokemon with one of their active. Can you use it if your opponent has no bench Pokemon? Yes. To discard two fire energy. You may discard two fire energy from your hand. If you do, switch one of your opponent's bench Pokemon. So first you discard the energy. Then you go to Gust. Oh, wait, my opponent has no bench Pokemon. Guess I'm not gusting them. And this could be super relevant for something like Victini Prism Star, for instance, that does 20 damage for each basic energy in your discard pile, and then shuffles them into your deck. More energy in the discard, more damage done, or even just drawing more cards off of something like a Lily, as an example. Now, Charizard's got the ability Roaring Resolve. This has been a bit of a fringe deck. It's not been an amazing, phenomenal deck, but never forget that former world champion Shintaro Ito did get third place at a 1,500-person tournament with it. Once during your turn, you may put two damage counters on this Pokemon, and if you do, you search your deck for two fire energy and attach them to this Pokemon. If you use it when you've only got 10 HP left, do you get KO'd when you place the 2 damage counters before or after you search for the fire energy? So essentially, you finish all the text of the ability before checking for knockouts. So you search your deck, attach the 2 fire energy cards, then you have a look and go, oh, wait, Charizard's got enough damage to be KO'd. Goodbye, Charizard. And again, this would be really relevant for Victini Prism Star. You could use this to get more energy in the discard, so you then do a giant amount of damage. And Charizard did not give himself up in vain. Moving into attacks, how about Mimikyu's Copycat attack? This is a 1-for-1 fairy, 1 colourless energy. If your opponent's Pokemon used an attack that wasn't a GX attack during their last turn, you use it as this attack. Do you need the required energy? No. You only need the fairy and the colourless energy. Now, if the attack were to say discard 2 energy, you still have to discard 2 energy, if you can, but you don't need the required energy. Remember, the ruling here is it will say if you need the required energy. So something like Mewtwo and Mew's ability specifically says you need the required energy, whereas something like the Empoleon from Cosmic Eclipse just lets you copy an attack of a pre-evolution. The rule is if you need the required energy, the card will say so. How about Hooper's Devilish Hands? This is, of course, Hooper GX's GX attack. Choose one of your opponent's Pokemon GX or Pokemon EX 6 times. You can't use the same Pokemon more than once. For each time you choose a Pokemon, do 30 damage to it. Sounds like fun. Can I keep choosing a Pokemon that would already be knocked out by previous choices, or do I have to choose a different Pokemon once I have done enough damage to KO the first one? And the rule is you make all 6 choices before doing damage, then you do damage, then you check for KOs. So essentially, you're not picking a Pokemon that's already got enough damage to be KO'd here. You are just picking a Pokemon and then doing a bunch of damage. Maybe this would be something, I don't know, let's say the Stunfisk. We've got a Stunfisk that does damage for each of your damage bench Pokemon. So here, damaging as few bench Pokemon as you can, it's a one from Unbroken Bonds, I should say, Electric Trap. That would actually be a pretty nice thing. I don't know, just a little example there. Of course, you know what's better than leaving Pokemon undamaged? Just KOing them, then they're not on the bench with any damage on. Just, putting that out there as a fun little alternative. How about Nidoking's Drag-Off? We don't see a lot of love for Nidoking, unfortunately. But Nidoking's Drag-Off 2 colourless energy, switch one of your opponent's bench Pokemon with their active, and then do 50 damage to the new active Pokemon. If my opponent has no bench, do I just do 50 to their active? No. If we go to the wording of the card, switch one of your opponent's bench Pokemon with their active, this attack does 50 to the new active Pokemon. It doesn't do 50 damage to their active, it does damage to their new active. If they don't have a new active, you don't do the damage. ZANGOOSE's Headhunt. 1 colourless energy, look at the top 6 cards of your deck, reveal any number of Pokemon you find there, put them in your hand, discard the other cards. Do I have to put all Pokemon I find into my hand, or can I just discard some, or even all of them? Yeah, it's up to you. Your choice. And the reason is, reveal any number of Pokemon you find. If it said, reveal all Pokemon you find, or reveal the Pokemon you find, then you're essentially being forced to reveal, and then you have to put them into your hand. But because it's an option here, you're fine. Now, as soon as they hit the discard is public knowledge. Your opponent can see what you chose not to take, but that's all right. You're fine. And finally, at least in terms of attacks, Zapdos' Thunderous Assault. Remember when Zapdos was everywhere? Doesn't see much play anymore. 10 damage for 1 energy, lightning. If this Pokemon was on the bench and became your active Pokemon this turn, you do 80 damage instead. If my opponent knocks out my active, and I promote Zapdos to be my active after the attack, Do I then get the extra 80 damage? Or the 80 damage, the extra 70? No! If this Pokemon was on the bench and became your active Pokemon this turn means this turn. If you put it up after a KO, it actually goes up between turns, or really, not even between turns, when it was your opponent's turn. It wasn't during your turn in any case. Now, in terms of trainer cards, there are a couple we need to have a quick look at here. Ingo and Emmett lets you look at the top card of your deck, and then you either discard your hand and draw 5 cards from the top, or discard your hand and draw 5 cards from the bottom of your deck. If I choose to draw 5 cards from the bottom of my deck, what happens to the top card that you looked at? Nothing. You look at the top card of your deck, and obviously when you look at it, you have to put it back. You then draw 5 cards from the bottom of your deck. That card is on the top of your deck. You know what it is. Judge Whistle. Judge Whistle's a very fun card that either lets you put a judge from your discard pile into your hand, or just draw a card. If I use Judge Whistle and put a judge from a discard pile into my hand, can I put a Judge Whistle into my hand? No. That choice only allows you to put a card named Judge into your hand. It does not allow you to put a card with Judge in its name into your hand. That's very important. Judge Whistle and Judge are different cards, and Judge Whistle only targets a card called Judge. And finally, Unidentified Fossil. Not new in Team Up, but reprinted in Team Up. So the rulings we get here actually come from February 18, which is when Unidentified Fossil was originally released in Ultra Prism. Can I choose to play it as one of my starting Pokemon? No. Because it's not a Pokemon. It is a trainer item card. It is a Pokemon when you play it, but it is not a Pokemon when it's not played, which means it's not able to be played as a basic Pokemon during setup, because when it's in your hand, it's a trainer card. If an opponent KOs my Unidentified Fossil, do they take a prize? Yes. It is treated as a basic Pokemon. When a basic Pokemon is KO'd, you get to take a prize. Now again, that's not always the case. If we look at something like Lily's Pokédoll that came out in Cosmic Eclipse, you don't take a prize, but the reason is it specifically says on the card, if this card is knocked out, your opponent can't take any prize cards for it. They do get to take a prize if it's a Pokemon, unless it is stated otherwise. So there we go, ladies and gentlemen, that's the FAQ from Team Up, and the last one that I intend to do until Sword and Shield 2 is released, Rebel Crash. If you want me to go back further, let me know. If I get enough feedback and enough people asking me, I will. I'm not planning on doing so. We've now gone through the FAQs from all of the sets that will survive the rotation in August or September. I think that'll do for now. But I'd like to know from you guys. What do you think of all these rulings? Did any surprise you or any weird to you? Did any of you get surprised by any of them? Let me know in the comment section. Go nuts, be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWasi, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCGRadio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all that good stuff, head on over to patreon.com/PTCGRadio, where you can do exactly that. And please do make sure you're checking out youtube.com/WasiPlays, where you can find out about a whole bunch of games that don't have Pokemon in, but are very awesome nonetheless. But by far the most important thing as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.